Okay, welcome to Chapter 3 of the Magic Treehouse, Leprechaun in Late Winter. So, again, if you have this book, you can follow along with me as I read. If not, use your listening ears. And with or without the book, right, as I read, you want to visualize the words that the author says. You want to create pictures in your mind. Imagine it a movie playing in your head, right? Think about the characters, think about the events that are happening, what are they doing? Make connections to the story along the way. Make predictions about what you think will happen, about personality traits, um, events, and have I wonders. Okay, so let's get started. Chapter 3, Miss Augusta. So you could make some predictions. What do you think Chapter 3 is going to be about? Right? Let's see. Jack and Annie looked at each other. Augusta! The girl put down her basket and took off her wet cape. Did you deliver the cakes to the poor, Miss Augusta? Asked Molly. Yes, Molly, said Augusta. I visited 7 cottages today. 7? In this weather? You're an angel, Miss Augusta, said Molly. Always so kind to the poor. It is my duty, Molly, the girl said, to help the less fortunate than myself. Her gaze rested on Jack and Annie. Who are these poor children? They're looking for work, miss, said the cook, but I'm afraid they're sorry creatures, not good for anything. I was just sending them away. Oh, surely we must not turn them out so quickly, cook, said Augusta. How tired and miserable they look. Jack didn't think they looked that bad. We are tired and miserable, Annie said. Her voice sounded sad. Her shoulders sagged. Oh, brother, Jack thought. Annie was really acting the part. Right? So have you ever gone along with something like that? Oh, my poor dears, you both must come in the parlor and rest a bit, said Augusta. Think about Augusta's personality so far, right? She seems like the nicest in the household so far. We would like that, Annie said pitifully. Follow me, said Augusta. Miss Augusta, surely you're not taking those dirty children into the parlor, said the cook. We must always be kind to the poor. Cook, no matter how dirty they are, said Augusta. We should give them something to drink if they are thirsty and something to eat if they are hungry. You are too kind, Miss Augusta, said Molly, shaking her head. Well, at least make them take off their filthy boots, said the cook. Jack and Annie pulled off their boots and socks and set them by the door. Their feet were red and raw looking. Oof, makes my toes cold just thinking of it. Augusta took 2 peeled potatoes from a bowl and put them in her pocket. Then she picked up a lit candle from the hearth. Okay, so a hearth is like a fireplace. And think about then, right, they did use candles for light. Come, let me take you to the parlor, she said to Jack and Annie. Thanks, Augusta, said Annie. Show some respect, the cook yelled after Annie. Call her Miss Augusta. Sorry, said Annie. Thanks, Miss Augusta. Jack. Do you want to make a prediction what Jack did? Jack rolled his eyes. Why should he call her Miss? Augusta didn't look like she was any older than he was. Holding her flickering candle, Augusta led Jack and Annie out of the kitchen. The wooden floor creaked as they walked barefoot through the narrow hallway. How are we ever going to inspire this strange, serious girl? Jack wondered. She acts if she's already grown up and treats Annie and me like babies. Well, sit in here, children, said Augusta. She directed Jack and Annie into the large room with heavy curtains and dark furniture. The pale teenage girl who'd answered the front door sat on the sofa knitting. Another teenage girl knitted beside her. They scowled when they saw Jack and Annie. What are you doing, Augusta? Asked the pale girl. Why are you bringing those 2 into the parlor? I invited them to tea, Gertrude, said Augusta. Then she turned to Jack and Annie. Pay no attention to my sisters, she said. Please sit down. Hmm, so those are her sisters, huh? It's kind of making me think of another story where there was maybe two naughty sisters and one nice sister. Let's see. Augusta, have you gone mad? Said Gertrude. You cannot invite these two ragamuffins to sit in here. Mother will be furious, said Augusta's other sister. They're filthy. They're not even wearing shoes. Jack looked down at his muddy clothes and cold red feet. Cook made them remove their muddy shoes in the kitchen, Eliza, Augusta said. I only wish I had nice dry shoes to give them. Sit down, children, she said to Jack and Annie again. So that's interesting. She's about Jack's age and she's calling them children. Jack and Annie slowly sat down. You are going to get into big trouble, Augusta, said Gertrude. Mother will never approve, said Eliza. Both sisters shook their heads as they went back to their knitting. Augusta ignored her sisters and walked to a silver teapot on the sideboard. Would you like some hot tea, my poor dears? She asked Jack and Annie. Yes, Miss Augusta, said Annie. Jack nodded. Hot tea sounded good. He still felt chilled from the cold wind and rain. And I can relate to that, because sometimes you get so cold, it's so hard to get warm after that. There was a fireplace in the dreary parlor. So really picture that parlor, right? Dark curtains, heavy curtains, dark furniture. It doesn't seem like they have electricity. They're lighting candles, right? It's cold outside. It's wet outside. It's dreary. There was a fireplace in the dreary parlor, but no fire was lit. Everything in the room seemed dark and gloomy, except for a few books on the table. As Augusta poured tea into the fancy china cups, Jack leaned closer to get a look at the books. One was titled The Plays of William Shakespeare. Another was called The Tales of King Arthur. Jack smiled to himself. Seeing those book titles made him feel a little more comfortable. Augusta carried cups of tea to Jack and Annie. Then she pulled the potatoes out of her pocket and gave one to each of them. Thank you, Miss Augusta, said Annie. Jack took a sip of tea, but it was too bitter and hot to drink. He took a bite of his cold potato, but it was too hard to chew. Again, that's making me think of another story. Probably read to you, when you were much younger. About three little bears, right? Too hot, too cold. Have you ever eaten a raw potato? Right? Normally that's not something that I think we do in the United States. Although I do know people that have eaten raw potatoes for sure, but we usually cook them. So that's interesting. So Miss Augusta, what would you like to do around here? Annie asked. What inspires you? Augusta looked puzzled. I do not know what you mean, she said. What about reading books? Said Jack. Have you ever read those books? He pointed to the tales of King Arthur and the plays of William Shakespeare. Those books belong to my brothers, said Augusta. The time has not come for Augusta to read such books, said her sister Gertrude. Not until she is older, said her sister Eliza. Why? Asked Jack. Mother says the tales of King Arthur and the plays of Shakespeare are not for young ladies, said Augusta. Really? Said Jack. Yes, but I'm afraid I sometimes peek at my brother's books, Augusta said to Jack and Annie in a low voice. I love stories. I remember every story I read or hear. I love stories too, said Annie, and I love books. The two older sisters smiled. Keep striving, my dear, said Eliza. Perhaps one day you'll be able to learn to read. I already know how to read, said Annie. Jack and I read lots of books. She pointed to the books on the table. In fact, I know tons about King Arthur, and we go see plays by Shakespeare with our parents. And one time, we even acted in a play by Shakespeare, The Midsummer Night's Dream. It was at our school, Jack broke in before Annie could tell them that they had actually met Shakespeare himself. A midnight's dream, said Augusta. She looked surprised. Don't listen to them, Augusta, said Gertrude. I doubt these children have ever been to school, much less acted in a play by William Shakespeare. I suspect you are quite right, Gertrude, someone said. A tall woman was standing in the doorway of the parlor. She wore a long black velvet dress and stood very straight. There was an icy look on her face as she stared at Jack and Annie. Any predictions of who you think that might be? Oh, Mother, said Eliza. And that is the end of chapter 3. So, I wonder what Mother's going to have to say about the children. And it's going to get interesting. So, think about what your favorite part was so far, your visualization, and I will see you again shortly.